What exactly does it mean for a city to be walkable? And why do so many people say the US doesn't have any? It means that everyday services like parks, groceries, pharmacies, schools, etc. can be reached safely and comfortably on foot. It's a little subjective since safely and comfortably is a matter of personal opinion to some degree or another. Unfortunately, many communities in the US haven't invested in maintaining safe, intentional pedestrian routes between these kinds of services, sprawling out to favor car traffic and parking, ignoring or decreasing accessory services for pedestrians like public transit, not providing sidewalks or shade or crossings, etc. Further, and partly because of the above, many people in the US have developed a very low bar for what qualifies for a comfortable walk. While some people think nothing of walking 30 to 60 minutes to get where they need to go, many Americans find anything over 10 to 15 minutes daunting. There are numerous communities in the US that are walkable, both in big cities and in smaller towns, villages, and suburbs, but some places are very far gone from it and would require a lot of development work to meaningfully restore it. What would walkable mean to you? It means how much can you do if you just walk. So, can you get groceries? Can you go to dining? Can you reach entertainment? When I travel in Europe, I almost never have a car, and can explore major areas of major. Have a look at the YouTube channel Not Just Bikes, https://youtube.com notjustbikes=v amazio sbv2dmyif4aj. He explains it easily. Functional sidewalks. The places you need to go to errand islands in a sea of parking lots. I live in a walkable city, Wellington in New Zealand. It means I can go from my front door to a supermarket on foot in under 20 minutes no matter where I am in the city or surrounding suburbs. It means there is regular and reliable public transport for if I need to go further than a 15-minute walk. We have cycle lanes, central city areas designed for pedestrian traffic with big sidewalks and frequent crosswalks. Even some streets cars can't really go down. I'm currently well out in the suburbs, but I could be in the city center in about 30 minutes if I drove or 40 minutes by public transport, having spent less than fuel and parking to get there. I'm 30 and I've never owned a car, because it's cheaper to rent one when I need it and rely on walking and public transport 95% of the time. When I went to the US as an adult, I was shocked how long it takes to get anywhere. Y'all say I'm going out for dinner and drive 30 minutes if traffic is good. I could literally walk to 10 different restaurants within 10 minutes. I live in Chicago. My hospital and its specialists are a 20-minute walk through a park. I have 3 grocery stores 15 minutes or less away, a Dollar General up the street 3 blocks, a crosstown bus a block away, the L 3 blocks away, a CVS and Walgreens about 20 minutes away, and a load of restaurants a short walk away. I sold my car when I moved here many years ago, and rent one if I need one, which is rare. That's a walkable city, and most residents of the North Side have similarly convenient locations. My daughter was always able to walk to school and the library and to her friends' homes. When I was a kid in the 1970s, we could walk to a bank, a pharmacy or 2, a movie theater, at least 1 grocery store, at least 1 convenience store, an elementary school, a high school, various specialty shops, fast food, sit-down restaurants, news magazines, second-hand stores, bookstores, music stores, bakeries, etc., public transportation, and playgrounds. I live in a different city now, but I can see where restaurants and small grocery stores used to be. They are gone, replaced by strip malls and bigger supermarkets near busier roads, further away. You have to walk a couple miles if you want to get groceries. And there's no public transit which goes directly there. Movie theaters and other shops are even further away. It would take me 3 hours to walk to my bank. There's one closer 1.5 hr walk, but they don't deal W cash there at all. If I wanted to order any food, it's a mile walk to the closest place. And that's a Domino's, so not great. A restaurant? Others a couple hole-in-the-wall taco places, but full-on restaurant at least an hour walking. My kid's school is about 30-45 min walk. That's not too bad. Grocery store. There is one about 15 minutes walk, but it's the super discount poor people one, and I've noticed their produce goes bad right away. The next one is 90 min walk. I guess those things make it unwalkable? I literally can't safely walk to any retail locations from my house. There are walkable cities in the US: New York, Philadelphia, Boston, Washington, Chicago, San Francisco, and many others, but the parts of these cities developed in the 20th century sacrificed expanded walkability to the automobile. The US definitely has some walkable cities. They are far and few between. Most larger cities aren't walkable for a few reasons. The amount of traffic and the current infrastructure set up make it near impossible for someone to safely walk the city, and the crime rate is so high in most of these cities You simply don't want to take the risk. New York, Boston, Philadelphia, Chicago, and San Francisco are all very walkable, or at least have large portions that are. I lived in 3 places in Chicago and only drove my car once per week max to run errands. Less when I was single, more once I was married with kids. I have since moved to the suburbs where I drive much more, but I still walk my kids to and from school, and we often walk or bike to the village for dinner or ice cream. Well, the cities are walkable, suburbs are not. When I lived in the city, I could walk to the pharmacy, the doctor, the dentist, the grocery store, 5 or 6 restaurants, the hardware store, the pet store, church, school. Of course, there were some places I couldn't walk, like to see a baseball or football game or concert. Walkable means you have a bunch of useful stuff within a 15-20 minute walk from your front door: shops, cafes, schools, transit, doctors, dentists, parks, pubs, etc. It means you don't need to own a car to go about your daily life. The US has some. NYC is probably the best example, but not a lot. Just look at how inaccessible most of the sports stadiums are for non-drivers. USA tends to have sprawling cities, cover a large area, and oftentimes don't have great public transportation. Walkable cities don't require you to have a car to get around easily. You already received good answers, but if you want to have some examples, you can try searching different addresses in the walksker.com. It will give you a total percentage number, but also a list of things that are reachable or not on foot. I live in Brisbane, Australia. Not everywhere here is walkable. We are also pretty car-centric culture due to how big and spread out the country is generally, but I've chosen to live in suburbs which are walkable even though I own a car. 5-10 minute walk to supermarket, train line that's on the route as my workplace. Hairdressers, dentists, op shops, bakery and restaurants, and small businesses like hardware and children's shoes. 5-minute drive and probably walkable. More convenience: library, more shopping and food and medical options. I think the Taylor Swift concert in Melbourne 8 showed how different the US and Australia are. Means you live in an urban or dense suburban area where you can walk most places and or use convenient public transit. Like one place I lived, I could walk to bars, movies, groceries, shops, doctors, etc. Another place I lived, I would need to drive 20 minutes to get to a real store or the movies. If you can walk to get groceries and restaurants from the place you live, then it's walkable. Think of places like Mexico City where apartment buildings have restaurants and stores underneath. It mostly means to have pedestrian sidewalks on almost roads. I discovered how unwalkable my city is when I dropped off my car for service and tried to walk home. No sidewalks on majority of the roads, and you either have to walk on grass or risk getting hit by a car.